Now it's time for the Daily Showdown. Today's news that Justice John Paul Stevens is retiring from the Supreme Court. Reaction has been swift, including this from President Obama today at the White House.
Justice Stevens has courageously served his country from the moment he enlisted the day before Pearl Harbor to his long and distinguished tenure on the Supreme Court. During that tenure, he has stood as an impartial guardian of the law.
Meanwhile, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell issued this statement, quote, "Americans can expect Senate Republicans to make a sustained and vigorous case for judicial restraint and the fundamental importance of an even-handed reading of the law." Mark Levine is a liberal radio host, and Milhaven, is a conservative radio host. Thanks to you both for joining us.
You got it. Thanks, Jeff.
I actually want to play something for you. Here's what Glenn Beck said about President Obama's next court nomination. We'll talk about it on the backside. Take a listen.
If he's smart, he will find a gay, handicapped, black woman who's an immigrant.
Mark Levine, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts about those comments?
Well, you know, Glenn Beck's a performance artist. I don't really respect anything he has to say. What I thought was more interesting was what Mitch McConnell said, that he wanted someone who practiced judicial restraint. I, as a liberal, would love to see some judicial restraint, not a court like one that chooses the President of the United States when the people vote for Gore, not a court that says that corporations are more important than humans in the United States. This court right now is radical and lawless and off the rails, and I'd like to see another person like Justice Stevens, someone who believes in the rule of law.
McGraw, let me ask you this. Who do you think a viable replacement would be that you'd be happy with?
Well, I think Mark, first of all, needs to turn the page on the 2000 election. But I want to go back to what Glenn Beck said. If it's a gay, black woman, female who is conservative, then the conservatives would have no problem voting for that person. The Supreme Court nominee is a fascinating pick because you don't know who you get. Gerald Ford thought he was picking a somewhat moderate conservative, and Justice Stevens turned out to be one of the leaders of the Liberal Party. Mark has no idea who they pick when President Obama picks it, when President Bush picks it, when Eisenhower picks it. They don't know who they get. That's the fascinating thing about the whole process.
I think what's fascinating about Justice Stevens is that he was a moderate conservative, and then the country moved far to the right. At the time he was picked by Gerald Ford, it wasn't his views that changed. It was a court that decided that it was going to be a judicial activist conservative court and left Justice Stevens behind.
Let's talk about some of the possible replacements. Now, let's just move on. Talk about who do you think is possible among this list? We have Elena Kagan, a U.S. Solicitor General, Janet Napolitano, Homeland Security Secretary, Merrick Garland, D.C. Federal Appeals Court Judge, Diane Wood, Chicago Federal Appeals Court Judge. Mark, we'll start with you. What do you think?
All are fine picks, but I'm going to pick someone who's off the list. Dean Harold Koh, the Dean of Yale Law School, who's currently the legal advisor of the State Department. I studied with him in Yale Law School. A very respected legal scholar. He would be the first Asian American on the court, but that's not the reason to pick him. The reason to pick him is he's a very respected scholar, particularly on issues of international law, and it'd be nice to have that kind of expertise on the court.
McGraw?
I don't know who Obama's going to pick, but I will make a prediction. I don't think it is going to come from the circuit courts. It might be a politician. It might be a former governor or a current governor. But I also don't think the White House wants another fight. Going into an election year, they are not going to go with somebody who is super liberal, or at least I don't think they're thinking they want to, because I don't think they have the stomach to put up with another fight, because they know the American public would not buy a very liberal justice.
Interesting times coming up. Mark Levine, McGraw, Milhaven, thanks so much to both of you for joining us.
Thank you.
Have a nice weekend.
My pleasure.